Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. Has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. My chains are gone, my God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like the flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow, the sun forbear to shine, but God who called me here below will be forever mine, will be forever mine. You are forever mine. Amen.
So take a look around. What do you have that God hasn't given you? Every heartbeat, every breath, every good and perfect gift comes from Him. He is the ultimate giver. He literally gives us gifts that we can't comprehend. Think about this. There are more electrical impulses generated in one day by a single human brain cell than by all the telephones in the world. Or how about the fact that food tastes delicious? It didn't have to taste delicious. It could have all tasted like kale. But no, it's fantastic. We plan our day around good tasting food. God gave us this. And then there's our health. We're not healthy because we deserve it. We didn't jump in a 55-gallon drum of yogurt and spinach. Our health is a gift that is too often taken for granted. God has always given to me knowing that He would get little in return. He is a Father that enjoys giving good gifts to His children. I've heard it said that it's possible to give without loving, but you can never love without giving. And that is His example. For God so loved the world that He gave. Like most people, I'm often driven by what I don't have, when I should be driven to seek the heart of God. Because God's heart is revealed in His generosity. Maybe my heart is too.
Then God saw everything that He had made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and the morning were the sixth day. And I want you to listen to that very carefully. It was very good. You know, I think we sit around a lot and we talk about how awful everything is. And don't get me wrong, I'm not without complaints. If I wanted to come up here and complain at you, I would give sinners in the hands of an angry God a run for its money as the most angry sermon on earth. But that's not what I'm here to do today, because we don't need that anymore. We've gotten enough of that. I'm up here to tell you that I just want you to go outside. I want you to turn off the news, stop doom scrolling on social media, go outside, touch some grass, and realize that even if there's things out there that are just absolutely awful, and I don't disagree with you, there are things out there that the world itself is very good. And I mentioned the news and social media very specifically because it thrives on outrage. That's what it does, especially the 24-hour news cycle, where it's there to keep you watching, it's there to keep you scrolling, it's there to keep you looking at it and getting angry. And again, there are reasons to be angry, but not as many as you would think. It doesn't really report on the positives, ever, and it doesn't report on the one very important thing, is that if you go outside and you look around, you're going to find that the world is actually a lot more beautiful, a lot more good. There's a lot more good people out there. There's a lot more people out there doing good things that we need to be talking about more than what they're going to tell you on the 24-hour news cycle, because they want you outraged. They want you to hang on to that spirit of Cain. And I'm very specific when I use that terminology as well, even if I did sort of yoink it from Jordan Peterson. Genesis never actually says why Cain's sacrifice wasn't accepted by God. Now, people have gone through and they've looked at it and they've tried to come up with reasons, and they've come up with many reasons. Some of them, make sense. Some of them, I have no idea how they got to that conclusion. They're out there. But I think that kind of misses the point, because the only thing that we are told is that it wasn't good enough. It is, and I think that's even more important, because sometimes we are going to see some things and we're going to experience some things that make us feel like we have been rejected by God, like we simply aren't enough. We're never really given an explanation as to why. We just are told, you're not doing good enough, and sin lies at the door and demands you answer. That right there is the spirit of Cain. It is, in many ways, it is the inability of humans to cope with the inherent tragedy in all things. Because again, it is very, very good. This world that was created for us is very, very good. And yet there's bad things that happen. And most people, they struggle to cope with that, because that's what the first murder was. It was a fratricide, one of the most disgusting forms of murder, the murder of one's own brother. Cain couldn't cope with the fact that he wasn't enough, that he had been rejected, and so he rose up and he slew the best one of them. And if that isn't the human story, then I don't know what is. And it's not just the big tragedies either. It's not just those things that everyone recognizes, oh my God, that's horrible. It's the little things. It's cooking blunders that you have to eat anyway because that's the only food you have. It's going into a shift that you know is going to be terrible, and you stop at a red light and your car stalls and you can't get it started again, and you have to get some poor person to help you push it into a parking lot, and it takes 30 minutes. You're late for work, you come into work scrambling, and then you get asked to work unexpected overtime, and they're asking you, but they're not really asking you. And by the last hour of your shift, you are sitting there and you've been at work standing for 12 hours straight and your feet are desperately painful. And you just think, this is it. I have been rejected by God. We all know the big things, but we don't really sit and think about how easy it is to turn that kind of tragedy into absolute hell. Because regardless of how good or bad anything is, we can make it better or worse. I don't think anyone disagrees with the fact that you can go out and you can either be nice or you can just be the worst person you can possibly be just to spite everyone around you for no reason other than that you want to lash out at the world that you feel has rejected you, that you want to lash out at God and at his creation because he rejected you. And maybe you're not going out there and, killing your brother or going on, some mass rampage. Maybe you're just working at some diner and someone comes in and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you're tired because you work the night shift and it's the last hour of your shift, and they order breakfast because, they're going into work in, an hour or so, and they just want some nice, pancakes and some eggs, maybe a little bit of bacon in there too. And you think, man, I could just ruin this person's entire day, and it wouldn't be terribly difficult. There are some things that I would really have to work at. Like, I don't know if you've ever made good scrambled eggs before. Sometimes it's almost harder to make bad scrambled eggs than it is to make good scrambled eggs. But you can do it if you really work at it. You gotta get the bottom that's burnt, but you gotta make sure that the center of them aren't really cooked all the way through. You have to make sure that the pan is turned up way too high, and you have to use absolutely no butter. But you can do it. You can make the worst scrambled eggs that anyone has ever tasted in their entire life. And then you could burn one strip of bacon, but not flip it so one side is undercooked, the other side is completely burned to a crisp. You can make pancakes that have, little eggshells in them and, not cook them properly either. Serve it with that syrup that is syrup in name only because they added a couple maple leaves, but then just filled it the rest of the way with corn syrup, and it tastes awful, and everyone knows it tastes awful, and yet they serve it anyway because it's cheap. And you sit that there, you slap it down with coffee that was not made properly in the first place, but you also let it sit for 2 hours, and then you reheated it 4 different times, and you're like, that's your breakfast. No, that's not breakfast. That's hell. That is the most, when you're in that position, that is the most hell on earth that you can bring to someone in their day. Or you can choose not to. You can choose, instead of giving in to the spirit of Cain, instead of being unable to cope with the inherent tragedy of all things, you can sit there and you can think, I'm going to make this person the best breakfast they've ever had. I'm going to cook the eggs so perfectly that they're fluffy and they're the most perfect consistency, and I'm not going to put cheese in them because that's stupid, and they're going to be great, they're going to be beautiful. I'm going to cook the best pancakes I've ever had. They're going to be authentic buttermilk pancakes. I'm going to bring out the good syrup. I'm going to make the best bacon I ever can. I'm going to use that authentic Colombian coffee beans that I ground freshly this morning, and I'm going to make this person the best breakfast they've ever had. I'm going to make this person a breakfast so good that they weep tears of joy, because you can do that too. You are not locked into the, I'm my feet are sore. I'm working unexpected overtime. I hate everything. I hate my life. I'm going to make this person a terrible breakfast. You can think, I'm not in the greatest headspace right now. But I know in my heart of hearts that I can make this person a great breakfast, and I'm going to do that. And I encourage all of you to do that. And the reason that I started this off with the intonation to go outside and touch grass, to go and turn off the outrage media and stop with this whole spirit of Cain is because I've been there. I mean, heck, I've been there recently. But the biggest example I point to is back during 2020, the height of the pinko pox, as I like to call it. I was locked inside, and I was tuned into that 24-hour news cycle because I just wanted to know how bad my next day was going to be, right? I wanted to know if, you have all of these media personalities and politicians that seem to lie somewhere on the spectrum between the extremes of crook and moron, and I wanted to know which one was going to be ruining my next day. And I hit a wall with it. I was so angry at everything that I was at that point of a sense of empathic sympathy and intuitive understanding for freaking Cain. And I decided enough is enough. I turned off the TV, and I went to this little park called Bellevue Park. It's over on Bellevue and Windermere. To this day, it's still my happy place. I go there basically whenever I'm not feeling up to life. And I went there, and I walked around. That's literally all I did. I didn't go and have this huge revelation from God of, oh, this is how your life should be done. I didn't go and have this intense religious experience of ecstatic communion with God. No, I went there and I was shown that even when everything around me is kind of awful, there's still beauty in the world. I saw, literally, all I did was I was walking down and I saw a tree, and I looked up at that tree and I said, that tree is absolutely gorgeous. I looked at like this, and the grass around it was unmowed. It was up to my knees. And I'm like, that grass is gorgeous. It's completely unkempt from all of, mankind's intense desire to make everything a beige square. It's gorgeous, and I love it here. And the sound of this freaking creek bubbling next to me is just evidence that when God pronounced the world very good on the sixth day of creation, he was not lying. He was not deluding himself. He was not ignoring all of these terrible things that he knew was going to happen. He made it, and he made it very good. And he knew it. And at that moment, I knew that I agreed with him. I knew that this world that was created for us, for our own benefit, for our enjoyment, was very good. And so I plead with you because I see in others what I was going through then. I see this desire to pronounce everything awful, to say that the world is, on fire and hurtling through space directly into something awful, and that everything around us is coming crashing down. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. I've seen the sticker shock, and I'm 20 years old, so I can only imagine what sticker shock looks like for people that have been around long enough to know when, the price of gas was less than $1 a gallon, when $1 a gallon for gas was insane, when, $3 for a carton of eggs was something that we thought was going to be happening when the actual apocalypse was here. When they made movies about the apocalypse and the biggest thing was that the price of gas was $5 a gallon, and now that's just reality for so many people. But I managed to find the beauty in the world that is the antidote to tragedy. And I implore you, the next time you're sitting there and the only thing that you want to say is, the end is nigh, we're all doomed. Even if in the long run we're going to go to heaven, for the next 5 years we are doomed. I implore you, turn off the TV, turn off your phone, stop doom scrolling, stop filling your mind with outrage, and go outside. Go outside and touch grass, because as it turns out, the world isn't actually that bad.
Wake up to the sunlight with your windows open. Don't hold in your anger or leave things unspoken. Wear your red dress, use your good dishes. Make a big mess and make lots of wishes. Have what you want, but want what you have. And don't spend your life looking back. Turn up the music, turn it up loud. Take a few chances, let it all out. You won't regret it, looking back from where you have been. It's not who you knew, and it's not what you did, it's how you lived. So go to the ball games and go to the ballet. Go see your folks more than just on the holidays. Kiss all your children, dance with your wife, tell your husband you love him every night. Don't run from the truth, 'cause you can't get away. No, no. Just face it and you'll be okay. Turn up the music, turn it up loud. Take a few chances, let it all out. You won't regret it, looking back from where you have been. It's not who you knew, and it's not what you did, it's how you lived. Wherever you are and wherever you've been, now is the time to begin. So give to the needy and pray for the grieving, even when you don't think that you can. 'Cause all that you do is bound to come back to you. So think of your fellow man and make peace with God, make peace with yourself. 'Cause in the end, there's nobody else. Turn up the music, turn it up loud. Take a few chances, let it all out. 'Cause you won't regret it, looking back from where you have been. It's not who you knew, and it's not what you did, it's how you live. No, it's not who you knew, it's not what you did, it's how you